Hello. Caught me off guard. Welcome back to the Shakey Sonnet Show. I'm Tootight Lautrec, and here we are in the Sonnetarium at the bottom of the down staircase in the recently sequestered remainder section of an unnamed local library, which may or may not have a lion couchant or two somewhere on the premises. We're already at Sonnet 3, if you can believe it, just whipping along lickety-split. And Sonnet 3 is what I will call the Hall of Mirrors. Yes, the Hall of Mirrors. Because basically, it's all about mirrors. Mirrors, mirrors on the walls. Let's take a dip in to see Sonnet 3 and what it's all about. I'll read it first, and then I'll discuss it as we go along. Sonnet 3. Look in thy glass, and tell the face thou viewest. Now is the time that face should form another, whose fresh repair, if now thou not renewest, thou dost beguile the world, unbless some mother. For where is she so fair whose uneared womb disdains the tillage of thy husbandry? Or who is he so fond will be the tomb of his self-love to stop posterity? Thou art thy mother's glass, and she in thee calls back the lovely April of her prime. So thou through windows of thine age shalt see, despite of wrinkles, this thy golden time. But if thou live remembered not to be, die single, and thine image dies with thee. Well, isn't that lovely? So, what's going on in this poem? The first quatrain begins, the first 4 lines begins very specific. The narrator says, look in thy glass. The second quatrain becomes abstract, where it's a he or she sort of situation. And the third quatrain, the third set of 4 lines, becomes specific again, talking about the relation of the person to whom this sonnet is addressed to this person's mother, and then sums it all up in a nice little contemplation on death. So, look in thy glass. Glass is basically just another term for mirror. Look in thy mirror, basically it's saying, and take a good look at yourself and have a little sit-down talk. Tell the face thou viewest. Tell your own face. Now is the time that face, your face, should form another. Here we are again, procreation sonnets. Nothing new there. Settle in. It's going to be a bumpy ride because this is number 3, so we have 14 more to go of these. But it's a new take on it. Now is the time that face should form another, is what you should be telling yourself. Whose fresh repair, basically repair means, the condition it's in. Whose fresh condition it's in. If now thou not renewest, if you don't renew your good looks by having another, thou dost beguile the world. You're going to frustrate the entire world if you don't procreate and spread your beauty all throughout the land. And you're going to unbless some mother. So there's a mother somewhere waiting to engender or gender or have a child, and someone somewhere is going to be sorry if you don't get on the stick, so to speak. Then we go into the more abstract, we pull back from the thou, and we go into a he or a she thing. For where is she so fair whose uneared womb, basically meaning unworked womb, or it's an uneared womb is very provocative image, because we all know what an ear looks like, and we all know what the bit looks like that comes before the womb. Put those two together, and it's no accident that Shakespeare has used this way to describe it, uneared. For where is she so fair? So who around here, where's the girl so pretty that her uneared womb disdains the tillage of thy husbandry? Stick your hoe in that womb and we'll get started, basically, is what it's saying. To till a field is to dig up the earth with a shovel and plant seeds in it. Husbandry is just simply the management of crops. Or who is he so fond? Fond is another word for foolish. Who is he so fond will be the tomb of his self-love to stop posterity? Who is he who's sitting around loving himself to no good end, just squirting his love off into the ether so that no one benefits but him? Who is he? I don't know, do you? So then we get more specific. Thou art thy mother's glass, basically saying that you're the mirror of your own mother. And she, in thee, calls back the lovely April of her prime. You can see that you're in the lovely April of your prime. Your mother, who you look exceedingly similar to, made you, and she can see her youth when she gave birth to you, in you at your age now, is basically what that's saying. So thou, through windows of thine age shalt see, despite of wrinkles, this thy golden time. Okay, so your mother, you look just like your mom. She can see herself young at your age now because she has you. And when you're old, you're going to look back to see yourself now, even though you've got wrinkles. So thou through windows of thine age shalt see, despite of wrinkles, this thy golden time, is basically what's that saying. But if thou live remembered not to be, die single, and thine image dies with thee. If you don't get married and have children, all your beauty will go into the grave, or the bed sheets, and there's no point in even discussing it further. Get married and have children. Now, this third quatrain, as I said, there are mirrors everywhere. Look in the mirror, talk to yourself, tell yourself, self, you need to make more of that beautiful self that I see in the mirror. This third quatrain, thou art thy mother's glass. So you're looking at your reflection, and in so doing, you're looking at your mother. And as you look at yourself as a reflection of your mother, you're looking at yourself again as you are now, but then you're also looking at yourself as if you were old, looking at yourself as you are now, so you can see yourself, look at yourself again in the image of your own child. And if you're not dizzy after that, I don't know why. Put the little mirror away. Let the mirror sit for a little while and just get married and have some kids, basically, is the point of it all. But if we were to look at this poem in terms of what might be going on, if the line that Shakespeare is telling some young lad to get married and have children because he was commissioned to do so, I could see that that works in that narrative. But is there specifically a male or a female addressed in this poem? I could make the argument that yes, there is, based on the word thy. In line 1, look in thy glass and tell the face thou viewest. And then in line 6, 5 and 6, where is she so fair whose uneared womb disdains the tillage of thy husbandry? So it's possible that he could be talking to a male and saying, you know, what woman wouldn't want to have your child? But because it's so abstract, the second quatrain starts with two suppositions. Where's the woman who wouldn't want to have your child? Or where's the guy who's so foolish that he, you know, spits it off into the weeds and won't use it to good use? So I'm not 100% sold. I'm sorry. There are no horns today. I'm sorry. There are no horns. There's certainly a lot of colorful language with the uneared womb and the tillage of thy husbandry. But if you also think about husbandry, the word means the care, cultivation, and breeding of crops and animals, or the management or conservation of resources. I'm not having it. I don't think that it's necessarily, I don't think that it has to be to a man or to a woman. It could be a dramatic exercise again, and it could work where the person is definitely young, but not necessarily male or female. I can see the arguments for the male could be a little bit stronger, but I still say that it's not absolutely 100% certain. Now, this could be not just a dramatic exercise, and it could maybe not be simply Shakespeare talking to a young lad to get married. Excuse me while I fiddle with my notes here. It could be a song of woo that ends with, if you don't have children, you'll die alone and you'll be sorry. Now, as far as poems of woo go, I wouldn't, you know, I don't know how often you remind someone that they're going to die in order to get them into bed. Not necessarily the most romantic way to go about it. But in another way, it's true that an awareness of what you'll lose does make beauty slightly more in your face. Here is this beauty. It won't last forever. You might as well use it while you can. Wallace Stevens, in his wonderful poem Sunday Morning, says that death is the mother of beauty, which is true. The knowledge that beautiful things will perish enhances their beauty, or at least adds a certain piquancy to our appreciation of what's good and beautiful in the world, which is why I'm constantly harping on about how important it is to pay attention. One other person who's got their finger on the pulse of the world was Emily Dickinson. And if you ever get a chance to read her poem, A Light Exists in Spring, I suggest you read the entire thing. I'm going to excerpt only what serves my purpose here, but it's a very good poem. And in A Light Exists in Spring, Emily says, blah, blah, blah. I mean, read the whole poem. It's really quite wonderful. But at one point, she says, as horizons step or noons report away, without the formula of sound, it passes and we stay, a quality of loss affecting our content. And that sums up this sonnet. It sums up everything that poets are all about, making you pay attention to what's happening in the world. And it sums up my entreaty to you to pay attention to the world while you can. Glorify what's beautiful Enjoy life. Pay attention. For me, for Tootight Lautrec, this has been the Shakey Sonnet Show. Mwah.